In this video, I'm going to show you a couple of tips and tricks on how to conduct some higher level formatting in a Google Doc. As you can see right here, this looks a little more elaborate than your typical Google Doc, what with the lines coming in here on the left and the right and the border on the table. By default, there is no way to actually create a border in Google Docs, but what we can do is we can kind of fake it by using tables. I've used tables quite extensively here in order to conduct some layout. I want to show them off right here. Basically, everything in here is embedded inside of or nested inside of a one cell table. If I right click down in the white space of this cell and go to table properties, you can see that the border is set to 2.25. I've set a minimum row height of 9.694, and I have pretty much said OK. If you look below the table, I have a font size set to 6, and if you look above the table, I also have a font size set to 6. That allows me to create the illusion that I can add a border right here. Now also, if you look right here, I have these horizontal lines on either side of this text. This is actually another table that is nested inside of this one cell table. If I right click in here and go to table properties, if I turn on the borders, you can see that I have a table right here, and I have a table right here as well. I have one final table nested inside of the one cell table down at the bottom. And by turning the table borders to 0 points, or essentially invisible, I can then insert what are called horizontal rules, or horizontal line. If I go to Insert Horizontal Line, you can see that I've added this line effect. So by turning off the borders, like so, and by turning off the borders here, by turning off the borders here, I can create some layout effects that are otherwise unachievable. I want you to look right here and see the size of the font right here. It's 30, and I have imported the Google font PT Serif. If I go to my fonts and select More Fonts, I can search for it right here. Once you find it, you just check the box, and then it will appear in your font drop. Hit OK. Right here, I have Open Sans. It says 48. It is bold. Then I have changed the font right here on the word of back to PT Serif. Also notice that it's italicized. It's a smaller font at 30. Back to Open Sans Bold 48. Open Sans Bold 48. Then right here, Open Sans size 18, not bold. When you are mixing fonts, and it is quite the art to mix fonts, it's important to not go overboard and to be subtle in your font choices. I would say that you want to mix fonts with extreme caution. A couple other things that I want to point out here is that I have unordered lists right here, and I have ordered lists right here, as well as another horizontal rule. Unordered lists are essentially bullets. And you can see right here in the line spacing feature, I can add space after an item. If I remove this, you can see by default what an ordered list looks like. But I like to have white space in between my lines when I'm creating a flyer, as this is supposed to be. Notice how I add that. This bullet right here is indented to the right. If I bounce it out to the left, you can see that it is no longer a child bullet of this parent bullet. But if I move it to the right, you can see that this information is relevant to the information above it. This you might call a sibling bullet, and this you might call a grandchild bullet of the parent bullet here. Now, an ordered list is like an unordered list, except that there's order to it. Bullets are not necessarily hierarchical, but an ordered list, two follows one precedes two. A is kind of like a child bullet, except that it's more a subpoint of the parent right here. Works very similarly. The way that you can add these lines, I'm going to cut this out right here, and you'll see that if I just hit the Enter key, it's going to create a new child bullet item for me, or ordered list item for me. If I hit Enter again, it will create another parent item for me. Paste that. those are a couple of tips and tricks. There are some more, but what your goal now is to do is to take those tips and tricks and try to reproduce this worksheet.